Success on the basketball court in Vegas, on the football field at Snapdragon Stadium for the Aztecs. Final game of the season in football, not so much. Steve Perez, Weiner here. Our final football weekend edition of Aztecs All In, where we are going to start this off not talking about the Aztecs football team going down to defeat against Air Force on senior night. Right, Lewis? We're not going to talk about that.
Nope, we are not. What are we going to talk about, Steve?
And instead, this edition, we're going to talk about the Aztecs basketball team winning 2 games against ranked opponents, defeating the number 6 team in the nation in an overtime thriller in the Players Era NIL tournament in Vegas. 73-70 the final. Lewis, this edition of the Aztecs, they are now 4-2 on the season. Conference play starting for them December 4th against Fresno State. They were a young team full of question marks, but now they're starting to look pretty impressive once again.
Yeah, Coach Dutcher has said these games against these really good teams, it's great to get the experience, but you want to get the experience while you get some wins. They didn't do it against Gonzaga, but they did it against Creighton, and they did it against Houston. 2 ranked teams, and the team is looking pretty good right now, Steve.
Little worried after that performance against Oregon. They really got run off the court in that one, but in tournament-ending game, pretty impressive. I don't know about you, but all the games I watched, they had a little extra intensity to them. It was very similar to that March Madness bracket type stuff, which goes to show you, Lewis, there's God, country, and family worth fighting for. And then there's the almighty dollar bill.
Yeah, the Aztecs get $1 million for playing and an extra $150,000 for finishing in 3rd place. And I agree with you. It did feel big. We were at the Aztec football game waiting for it to start, watching the end of the basketball game, and it just felt like more of a tournament game. A lot of energy to it, and that was exciting to watch for sure.
Well, let's talk a little bit about how they managed to pull this off. What were your observations?
I think Miles Bird was the key. 18 points. He was 4 of 12 shooting, 3 of 10 from 3. But, Steve, he was 7 of 8 from the free throw line. And late in the game, he hit 2 free throws near the end of regulation to get the game to overtime. Up to that point, the Aztecs were really struggling from the free throw line. So I thought that was key. And then he made an amazing reverse layup in overtime.
Which he was fouled on, by the way, but they didn't give it to him.
They did not. Yeah, they did not call the foul. But that was an incredible play, and that really, helped nail it for the Aztecs.
Boy, he seems to be coming into his own early in this young season. The one stat that kind of shot out to me was their performance from the free throw line, Lewis. 18 makes on 27 attempts,
not
66%. They shoot better than that from the line, Lewis. They win this one in regulation. Yeah, first half performance that hurt them the most. 6 of 11, 55%. They did perform better in the second half and in the overtime, and Miles Bird, a big contributor to that.
Yeah, and the big men, Steve, the big man came through big tonight. Jared Coleman-Jones, his best game as an Aztec, 16 points, 6 of 9 shooting, 3 of 4 from 3. He shot 44% from 3 last year, and he's a really good shooter, and it showed tonight. He also pulled down 5 rebounds in 36 minutes. And Farrell Compton, the freshman, he scored 13, 3 rebounds, and 1 assist, and that was definitely his best game too. Again, I think he was 1 of 5 from the free throw line, though. Not a good free throw shooter, but he looked pretty good.
Yeah, Lewis, in the first half, I would have sworn the Aztecs were getting dominated on the glass when on defense. It just felt that way. Houston did pull down 9 offensive boards, according to the stat sheet. The Aztecs, though, had 9 defensive boards, so it was kind of a push, but it just felt like Houston had way more second chance opportunities in the first half, and the Aztecs trailed by 5 at the break. But at the end of the game, it was the Aztecs with the edge in second chance points. 15 second half points for the Aztecs and 12 for Houston. Some key metrics in the entire game, the Aztecs dominated. Points in the paint, 26 for the Aztecs, 18 for Houston. They scored 12 off turnovers, Houston 7. They had 15 second chance points, as we mentioned, 12 for Houston. Fast break points, 7 for the Aztecs, 0 for Houston. The bench scoring, 15-7. So the Aztecs dominated in that regard, and they won the game.
And they won the game, Steve, without B.J. Davis scoring a lot of points. He scored 18 in the first 2 games of the tournament, only 5 tonight, and those didn't even come until the second half. And Nick Boyd, again, a really slow night offensively, especially in the first half, came alive a bit in the second half. He finished with 12 points on 4 of 13 shooting. B.J., 5 points on 1 of 5 shooting. So they won the game not because their guards were playing well, which was what was happening. But as I said earlier, the big guys really came through.
And then afterward, J.D. Luster talked to San Diego Sports 760, and the intern didn't roll on it, so he's fired.
Oh, no.
He's done for the season.
I got to talk to that person.
No, it's too late. I fired him.
Yeah.
But he did say that he talked to the team at the halftime, and the talk was the first 5 to 6 minutes of that second half was going to be critical. He said we were talking about 2 teams. They had similar styles, and it was a great learning situation from this, and pointed out that in a game like this, when you're faced with a top-ranked opponent like this, it's going to be similar to a prize fight. There's going to be some punches thrown on both sides, and you got to be able to withstand those punches and swing back. He pretty much called it the equivalent of going to war. And mentioned that Gula McGrath, anchor on defense, he had 1 block shot and was a presence inside for much of the night.
Yeah, you had mentioned the free throws earlier, and in the first half, Houston didn't miss. They were 11 of 11, just 2 of 6 in the second half, so they only finished with 13 points from the free throw line. The Aztecs, early on, not shooting as many free throws, but they ended up scoring 18 points. Their percentage was lower, but they had 18 points from the stripe as opposed to just 13 points, and when you look at it, that was the difference in the game.
You know, when you're talking about a game like this, it feels like you could talk about it all night because there's so much good to talk about. But there is another element to this podcast, Lewis, and it has to do with the Aztecs football team. And I'm really sorry to bring down the room, but I think we got to get to that.
Oh, did they win? Did they win?
So, yeah, in football, Lewis, the big scoreboard tells the story for the Aztecs' injury travails on the offensive line. Tyler McMahon, he's like the starting right guard. He was a junior college transfer, signed February 7th, earlier this year out of Modesto Junior College. Now, the rest of the players they're introducing on the big video screen, they're introduced and they're all in their pads. They're all geared up. But McMahon, he didn't have his pads. He just had this Aztec shirt on. So he wasn't a guy on the team's radar going into the season. But here he is being pressed into action out there in the team's final game of the season against Air Force. And did I mention, it's on senior night. There's the Warrior Walk, the Spear Planting, and the I Believe chant. It was led by former Aztec safety Rico Curtis. Good to see him out there. Curtis lettered all 4 years at San Diego State from 96 to 99. The Aztecs showed in the Las Vegas Bowl in 98, and he appeared in that game. He is credited with 355 career tackles, 4th most in school history. Curtis, the recipient of the John Simcox Memorial Trophy annual award for the team's MVP after his final season. Now, as part of that Warrior Walk, they do it out there by the river, and they have that little pregame thing. We took a little trip out there to pick up something that was something just for us season ticket holders.
Yes, a special hat.
Yeah, I see you're holding that.
I'm wearing
Actually,
it.
we're still wearing that spiffy season ticket hat. Identifies you as a season ticket
I
member.
am identified.
The question is, will you proudly wear that during the off season?
I proudly wear all my Aztec gear, always. Yeah.
A sparse crowd at the opening of this one. How about that senior night, Lewis, right? And as we see, they're playing Air Force, which is a run-oriented triple option team, and they're tested right out of the gate, eh?
They are. 31-20 was the final, Steve. Air Force started out strong. The Aztecs had a shot to get them off the field. It was 3rd and 8, and then they do a little trickery. It was a halfback pitch, but the halfback didn't run. He threw it. Great pass, too. 52-yard completion from Brandon Engel to Jared Rosnos.
Hey, was that one of them their chonk plays?
That was a chunk play,
Chonk play, yeah.
And he didn't quite score. The next play, a 1-yard touchdown run from Dylan Carson. That made it 7-zip. And again, Air Force keeping the ball. 9 plays, 81 yards, 455. But, Steve, the Aztecs answered back.
Yes, and that was a little bit of Aztec history on the season, right? On that next drive, because they actually scored a touchdown on that opening drive. And when was the last time that happened, Lewis, this season?
Never.
Oh, no. And that kind of tells you why they only won 3 games, right?
Yeah.
Slow start.
But the Aztecs, they scored. The big play was a 1st and 10 from the 44 Air Force. O'Neal threw to Marquez Cooper for 20 yards, and then they ended that drive with a Cooper 7-yard touchdown run. And the Aztecs holding the ball a long time, 10 plays, 76 yards. You got the sense that there's going to be a lot of offense in this game.
And there was a lot of offense. Unfortunately, most of it came from the Air Force Falcons. Meantime, the Aztecs couldn't keep pace. And pretty much it was the decisive third quarter where everything kind of turned.
Yeah, the Aztecs had a chance. They were down 17-14, and they moved the ball. There was a 3rd and 11 O'Neal pass to Polk for 19 yards, a 3rd and 10 pass from O'Neal to Cooper for 9. So the Aztecs got it 4th and 1 from the Air Force 6, Steve. And
yeah, right there in that red zone, right? And they're out of the shotgun, and they do the give to Cooper. And what about how that play ended up, Lewis?
Yeah, it looked like he had an option to pitch it, right? But then the free rusher came in and blew up the play.
After the game, both Cooper and Coach Lewis said it was just a failure on that part of the line to let that defender in to blow up the play. It did look like he had an option to do something else with it, maybe pass it or hand it off to another Aztec offensive receiver who was coming around the backside, but no, that was that call all the way. It was a carry of some kind, and the Falcons just sniffed that one out.
Yeah, and if they kick the field goal there, right, second guessing, of course, as we always do,
Right.
it would have been a tie game at 17-17, but it was the next drive from Air Force that really put the game out of reach. One play, Quentin Hayes to Cade Harris, only the second pass of the game, 76-yard touchdown, a perfectly thrown ball, and that you kind of got the feeling they made it 24-14, and you got the sense there the Aztecs really weren't going to be able to
They were
get back.
kind of in touch at that point. When the Aztecs had the ball, they had good field position. And again, though, forced to go for it on 4th and 5. And by that point, they've made it to the Air Force 38. You need the points then. You're down by 10. O'Neal is forced to scramble on the play. He sprints for the sticks, and the defender goes with him. And the defender had a little bit more speed, it looked like, and he came up short.
Yeah, that drive started with Chris Johnson returning the kickoff 33 yards. So they had really good field position to start there, but yeah, they weren't able to do anything, turnover and downs.
Yeah, and by that time, you look at the other side of the field, the Air Force is fired up, and the next drive is the one where the game really starts getting away for the Aztecs.
Yeah, Dylan Carson with a 14-yard touchdown run, a methodical drive, 10 plays, 66 yards. They made it 31-14. The Aztecs did score another touchdown later in the game, a Cooper 8-yard run. I'm sorry, let me go back. It was a Cooper catch, Steve, and it was a really good one.
Wonderful catch, yeah.
Yeah, it was near the goal line, near the sideline, and he leaped up, grabbed it, and scored a touchdown.
Yeah, O'Neal made a great play just getting to that side of the field to keep the play alive on a little bit of a scramble drill there. So the defense, though, is out there. Air Force offensive line is firing off the line of scrimmage, and they are holding on to the ball and pretty much salt the game away. Even though they did not score in the fourth quarter at all, Aztecs could only manage the one touchdown. They went for the 2-point conversion, didn't make it, and that's your final score, 31-20.
I think it was Danny O'Neal's best performance in weeks, 24 of 32, 230 yards, 1 touchdown. He was sacked 3 times, no interceptions, and he spread the ball around, Steve. 9 different players caught a pass today. The only one who didn't catch a pass who was targeted was Jordan Napier. Jashawn Polk, 5 catches, Mekhi Shaw, 4, Lewis Brown the fourth, 4. So he really spread the ball around. And you had mentioned during the game how good he was when he was scrambling to his right.
But the tale of the game is the offensive productivity of Air Force on the ground. 404 yards on 54 plays. The Aztecs managing 356 yards total on 68 plays. The time of possession, fairly even. Air Force had the ball for 31 minutes, 21 seconds. Aztecs 28-39. But the Air Force Falcons were more productive with the ball when they had it. And then the Aztecs had the ball on their last offensive possession, and they needed to score quickly, were unable to, and fitting that their final offensive play of the season was a sack that was absorbed by Danny O'Neill that ended any hopes of all of an Aztec comeback, and that was, one of 3 sacks. So I don't know if you have any other notes about this game before we get into some of these post-game thoughts from Coach Lou and some of the players?
Yeah, just a rough end of the season. You win your final game of the year in October. That's not exactly a successful season. The Aztecs finished 3-9, 6 straight losses to end it, Steve. And
did I say earlier they finished at 3-7? That was it. No, 3-8. That's incorrect.
3-9.
3-9. Oh, okay. See, somewhere there, I had erased.
Which game did you erase? Tell me which one.
It might have been one of those 2 Friday night games that I was actually working, shooting high school football for the Prep Pigskin Report.
How about did you forget the Central Michigan game where the Aztecs pretty much should have won that one?
No, that was when you sit back and start looking at the games on the schedule where things started going south ways, or they had a chance to actually do something and make something of the season. Yeah, that Central Michigan game early in the season was one of those that kind of put them behind the 8 ball. There were some other games that were shoulda, wouldas, but now the season's over and it's on to the next one. And I don't know if you've heard me say this before, but Lewis, we're going to talk to Coach Lou about, hey, how about that senior night, Coach Lou?
Yeah, I mean, this one was a little bit more sour, right, than some of the great ones that I've had, and obviously because of the outcome, right? But it doesn't, it doesn't diminish, again, what those kids have done, their sacrifice and their commitment to the things that we're asking them to do. And then again, you just know looking at them from all the lessons that they've learned. There's been a lot of hard lessons learned this year, right? But they're going to take those lessons, right, and apply them to who they're becoming and the growth and the journey that they're going to be on. And I know those guys are going to have a whole ton of success in all areas of their life. And I can't wait to see who they become 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now. And, told each and every single one of them that I'll always be here for them in any way that I can help. Don't hesitate to call.
And Lewis, there is a lot of work on the part of the coaching staff. And I asked him about it, and he rattled off the pretty full schedule. That had to do
was
with
amazing.
Exit interviews with the players.
Amazing.
And the one thing that he said out of that I found encouraging is that there's going to be some continuity in the coaching staff. They do not plan on, and unless some of these coaches decide to make a bolt for greener pastures somewhere, one press room wag said, well, I don't know if that's going to happen because there's not going to be a lot of demand for coaches from a team that only won 3 games. But that is encouraging to hear that there's going to be some continuity there, and Lewis spoke to the importance of that. And Marquez Cooper spoke to the news media after the game and had some thoughts about his season and senior night and all the rest.
Yeah, the Aztecs will be looking for a new lead back next year. Whether that player is already on the team or not, we'll find out next season. But Marquez Cooper came in here, really made his mark, ended up passing the 5,000-yard mark for a career, only the 23rd player in NCAA history to do that. So I asked Marquez after the game what it's like for him to think of the personal accolades that he accomplished, but on the other end, they only won 3 games. And here's what he had to say.
Yeah, so I really ain't been able to soak in the 5,000-yard world or anything like that and just really love and care about it. And, because we ain't been winning, and stuff like that. I wanted to be the spark of this organization, this new era and stuff like that. I think I left a good culture in the running back room, though. I feel like I was able to do that for the future and, made great plays for the great cut-ups for other guys to watch and come do the same thing and more. So I feel like I was able to make my impact in that way. I wish I would have still been able to help us win more games by being a leader and everything like that, because I was a captain. But it's truly unfortunate that things our record had to be this way.
So, Steve, another great game for Cooper. His last one as an Aztec, 23 carries, 104 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. And he will be remembered as a really, really good back for the one season that he was here. And we wish him luck in the future.
Yeah, wonderful. Hopefully a transition to even bigger and better things on the ground game for the Aztecs going forward. In the meantime, yeah, we are left to chew on the 3 Aztec victories on the season. They finished 2-4 in the conference, which it kind of about where people had them at the beginning of the season, and that's where they finished. It would have been nice to perhaps overachieve. I personally would say 3 wins, that's a bit of an underachievement for this first year of Aztec Fast. So, as I've said before, nowhere to go but up for this team.
Yes, sir. And that will do it for the football season, and that will do it for this edition of Aztecs All In. Thank you so much for listening in. Please drop us a line, aztecsallin@gmail.com. You can also follow us on the X, Aztecs_all_in. So for Steve Perez, I am Louis Weiner. Until next time, so long.